What did having SoFi slapped on the roof of SoFi Stadium now for the Super Bowl, all those aerials and all of those drone shots do for your brand recognition?
SoFi Stadium is a key part of our strategy to become a household brand name, a trusted brand name.
Hey there. Did you know that about 25% of all major sports stadiums in America are named after banks? Well, I just learned that recently when I was looking into why people don't quite understand why SoFi bought the naming rights to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles that hosts the Rams and the Chargers of the NFL, as well as future Olympic Games and the National College Basketball tournaments, as well as other major entertainment events that are going to happen in America will be hosted in SoFi Stadium for years to come, as a $5 to $6 billion stadium that SoFi bought the naming rights to for $400 million.
Say hello to the most spectacular addition to this year's NFL season, the SoFi Stadium. Home to the LA Rams and LA Chargers, this revolutionary build cost over $5 billion, making it the most expensive sports ground in the world. This stunning indoor-outdoor complex features not only the league's latest, greatest and most technologically advanced stadium, but also a 6,000-seat performance area, a 2.5-acre plaza, a 25-acre community park and a 5.5-acre lake. As both the Rams and Chargers start to lay down their foundations in sunny California, the SoFi Stadium, along with its surrounding landscape, will play a key role in attracting local fans and bringing in those from further afield. Let's take a closer look at this multi-billion-dollar sporting masterpiece. Is intended to be so much more than simply a playing field for the NFL. The stadium itself will act as the centerpiece of a huge entertainment, retail, commercial and residential development that sprawls across nearly 300 acres of pristine landscape. There's a lot going on in and around this new mega project, from the new NFL media headquarters to the retail spaces, hotels, apartment buildings, parks, you get the idea. The unmistakably massive arena is, of course, the main attraction. With a game day seating capacity of 72,000, it's currently the third largest stadium in the county. The SoFi Stadium can also extend its capacity to hold up to 100,000 guests. Quite the party trick that will certainly come in handy when the FIFA World Cup and Summer Olympic Games make their way over to the States. The SoFi Stadium has set a new standard for the world of sports stadiums. From end to end, the SoFi is filled with the best of everything. We're talking top-spec technology, luxurious executive suites, fine dining, and impeccable amenities. Everything you need to create an unforgettable and mesmerizing experience. The most obvious example of the amazing technology to be found within is the giant 360-degree video board that dominates the interior of the arena. Unlike most large-scale multi-billion-dollar developments, the SoFi Stadium ticks all of the right boxes. As the arena starts to host more events as current restrictions are lifted, the SoFi Stadium will certainly cement itself as America's flagship venue.
So people have said that only companies that are about to go bankrupt or fail buy naming rights to stadiums. And okay, maybe that is true for some companies that have bought naming rights in the past, but that doesn't have to be the case for SoFi. And some people say, why are they even wasting all that money? Don't they have better things to spend $400 million on? Well, it's over 20 years and actually might come out to about $600 million once the deal is all done in those 20 years. So it's about $20 million per year. Okay, yeah, you're right. It's a lot of money. Why are they spending all that money on just having their name on a building? Can't they spend that on something better? So I could tell you what Anthony Noto says, that they want to become a household name and that they want their products, their great products, to be trusted by consumers. I can tell you that, but you've already heard that, and it might not convince you still that this deal is a great deal for SoFi as an investment for the long term. And for the short term, right? All investments have to work out in the short term in order to work on the long term as well, right? So instead of that, I'm going to tell you a story to show you why this deal makes sense and why 25% of major sports stadiums are named after banks. There's a good reason for that. If 25% of anything is named after a certain group, there has to be a reason. And it probably is a good one. So let me tell you a quick story, and then we'll break down exactly what this deal means for SoFi and why Anthony Noto, who has struck many great deals for SoFi in the past, and just recently with our video on Technasis, which you should go watch, explaining why SoFi bought Technasis and how that's going to help the company achieve its goals of becoming the AWS of fintech. But in this video, we're going to focus on why this deal, the naming rights to SoFi Stadium, the greatest entertainment center in America right now, will help SoFi achieve its goals of being the one-stop shop online bank, as well as helping them get to the point of becoming the AWS of fintech. So if you're an investor in SoFi and you want to know why they would spend all this money on a building, stay tuned. It's very important that you as an investor understand why this deal was struck. So let me just tell you a quick story about the time I received a bunch of mailers from this lender out there. Not going to say their name, but they wanted to give me $250,000, $250,000. They said I was qualified for all that money. I'm making more money now as a software engineer. And banks and other lenders out there are sending me a bunch of mailers to give me money to borrow so that I can use it to invest or build my business or whatever I want to do with it. They believe that I'm qualified for bigger and better terms. So one of the mailers that I've received has been consistent. Every other week at the very least, I would get a mailer for them. And they would say, hey, you qualify for $250,000. But the problem is that I don't know who they are. I'd never seen them before. I looked them up, and I still have no clue who they are. But I still took their calls. I applied for their loan. I applied for $30,000. And the reason I did that was because they were offering the best terms. They offered me amazing interest rates, and they took it down when I said I wanted it to be even better. Because I said, hey, these terms are not great. And then they said, okay, we'll make it better. And they also said the loan won't show up on your credit reports. So that means that it won't affect my credit score. And if other lenders out there want to give me money, they won't see that I already borrowed money from this lender, which is good because that doesn't affect my debt to income ratio. So these guys were giving me great terms, and it was pretty much on my terms. And I was shopping and saying, hey, I see this out there. Can you match that? Can you do better? And they said yes. Still, when they sent me the contract to sign, I didn't sign because I don't trust them. I don't know who they are. They seem sketchy. I read a bunch of reviews. Some of them were good. A bunch of them were good, but there were a good amount that said, hey, these guys aren't great and they treat their people wrong. So every company is going to have bad reviews. That's fine. And some are going to be very bad. Even SoFi has bad reviews. People misunderstand businesses sometimes. But this company doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from me because I have no idea who they are. I've never heard of them outside of the context of them showing up in my mailbox out of nowhere. So I didn't give them my business. So I said, hey, I don't want your money. They called me back and said, hey, here's even better terms. I still said, I'm not interested. So why did I do that? Again, I don't trust them. I can't trust them with all of my personal information, my most critical information, my social security number, all of my income statements, my business history, and so forth. I cannot give over all of that information by myself to this company and then also give them the control over my finances because they can go off and do whatever they want with that money that I borrow from them. They can sell to some other lender and say, here, you take this loan, and I have to deal with that company. I have no idea what they do, and so I cannot trust them. I don't know if anybody that I trust knows of them. So I don't know if they are a well-known business that is reputable. The reputation cannot be verified. I looked them up, and what I found didn't convince me that I should give them my business. And so I walked away from what is otherwise a great deal. Now, your question that you probably have is, how does this relate back to SoFi, Lincoln, and them spending $400 million on a stadium? Well, the answer is just that. Trust. You have to be able to trust the people you do business with. And if you don't, you won't do business with them. At least you won't be smart to. And these days, people are more careful about which businesses they trust with their money and their time and their identity. Because they've seen what happens when you give over your information and trust to someone who doesn't deserve it. And then they ruin your life, at least your financial life. And so people are hypersensitive to making sure that the businesses that they interact with are businesses that they can trust. And there are two components to trust. First, you have to be familiar with that entity that you're dealing with, that you're interacting with. And second, you have to be able to verify that they are valid, that they do and have done in the past what they say they do. So reputation, are they reputable? Those are the two components of trust. If you have both of those, then what's left is that you believe that they will continue to be trustworthy in the future, so that you can trust them with your information and your business, because you believe that they won't do anything bad to you, and that you believe that they will be honorable enough to not screw you over. So now let's talk about how those two components tie back to SoFi and their purchase of the naming rights to the stadium, the NFL stadium in Inglewood, California. We've established that 25% of all major sports stadiums in this country are named after banks. When I was a kid, I knew of the Wachovia Center, which is now the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, and the Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles play in Philadelphia. So I knew about all of these things, but they didn't really matter to me because I didn't really know what Wachovia did or what Lincoln Financial Field was. I didn't have any need for what they do. I was a kid. I didn't need a loan or to bank with someone. My mom handled that. My dad handled that. And if I'm not operating in the economy, if I'm not in the workforce, banks don't really matter to me. But if I'm someone in the economy who has a job, who needs to pay bills and maybe buy a house or get a personal loan or go to school or buy a car, I'm going to have to deal with financial services and lenders out there. And I'm only going to want to deal with the ones that I trust, the ones that I'm familiar with, and the ones that I can verify, the ones that have good reputation for doing what they say they do. And if I can trust them, and then I go in and do business with them and get a loan from them, set up a bank account with them, start investing with them, I'm going to continue to come back to them because I built even more trust with them over time. But if I don't trust them off the bat, if I've never heard of them, I'm not going to deal with them. As much as they mail me and they give me great terms, if their terms seem too good to be true, I'm going to try to verify their validity. I'm going to try to look into the reputation and see what the reviews are and see if they've done what they say they do and that other people trust them. And if I cannot verify that enough to satisfy what I need to trust them enough to do business with them, I'm just going to walk away and find somebody else. So being familiar with this bank and being able to verify their reputation is very important. But you might be saying, hey, Lincoln, yes, I get it. Trust is important. But can't you develop trust any other way besides paying $400 million for naming a building? Well, yes, there's other ways that you can develop trust with people that you haven't met before. That you're right. But 100 million people, about half of the adults in America, watch the Super Bowl. And about 10% of them watch the NBA Finals. And if it's not that, a good percentage of them watch baseball, all of those finals, those championships, playoffs, and all of that. And the others watch the NHL, the hockey league. So among all of these different sporting events and stadiums, if your name's on the major ones, like the one that just won the Super Bowl,
the Los Angeles Rams are world champions, a Lombardi trophy for Los Angeles,
and hosted it, you're going to be seen by many people. And if you're seen by them, that means you've solved the first part of that trust equation, which is the familiarity part, being familiar with the entity. Now, when they see you on TV and you're advertising to them, because you need to advertise to get more people to see your product and try it, when they see you, they'll say, oh, I've seen that company somewhere before. And they'll say, oh, whatever, I'm not interested right now, I'm not in the business. But then they'll get a email from you because somehow they got on your email list. And they'll say, hey, I've seen this before, but I'm not interested right now. And then maybe they'll hear about you from their friend who said, hey, I just got a SoFi personal loan. And you'll say, where have I seen that before? SoFi. All right, they were the ones from the NFL stadium. That was it. And then I saw them on TV and in that email mailer. I'm still not interested right now. But then you see them show up in your mailbox. And they say, hey, we have a loan for you. We think that you making all this money in the corporate world now. And we see that you have this great credit score. We think that you qualify for $20,000 so that you can go buy your first house or renovate that first house or maybe even go to school or buy a car. Why don't you apply for this loan? And you're pre-qualified. All you gotta do is send us some information. And then you'll say, who is this company? SoFi. Oh, right. I saw them at the NFL Super Bowl. And they were the host of that BTS concert I went to. And Paul McCartney. Right. Oh, and I saw them on that TV ad in that Miller. Oh, my friend also uses SoFi. Maybe I should apply. And so now they've seen you. They know of you. They're familiar with you. That's the first part, right? And because they've seen you so many times and their friend told you about them, you're able to verify that they do what they do. And if you're still not sure, you go online, you say, who is this SoFi company? What have they done? What's the reviews? And you see a bunch of great reviews. But then you also see some bad reviews, right? Because there's always going to be bad reviews. And you say, okay, these bad reviews look bad, but there's so many good reviews. And my friends talked to me about them. And they were on that. They were the ones who hosted the NFL Super Bowl. And Paul McCartney, who I love, it seems that they're legitimate. I can trust these people. I'm going to give them a shot. Let me get that loan. You get that loan, and then over time you build up trust, even more trust, because now you're using them and they're treating you well. And so you get the next loan, or you save with them and you do your checking account with them and you invest with them on SoFi Invest. You buy your cryptos if you're interested in that.
Anthony, I found it so interesting during the Super Bowl that a lot of the sportscasters kept saying SoFi Stadium. I'm thinking, no, it's SoFi.
SoFi Stadium is a key part of our strategy to become a household brand name, a trusted brand name. And we really benefited in the fourth quarter from all the games that were on national television. As you mentioned, the awareness of SoFi through SoFi Stadium really helped increase unaided brand awareness. And as your unaided brand awareness increases, it makes all of your marketing more efficient. The click-through rates on offers are higher. The responsive rates and different types of direct mail and other efforts that we have with members that may not have been familiar with the name become a lot more responsive. And so we did the stadium licensing deal to drive unaided brand awareness and become a household brand name, and it really paid off in the fourth quarter. And we mentioned in the call last night, we hit a record high level of unaided brand awareness the days after the Super Bowl. So it's been an important strategic decision and it's really paying off.
I can see why. SoFi.
And then you tell your friend about them, and your friend says, I've heard of this SoFi company before. Oh, right. They were the ones that hosted the March Madness tournament, the college basketball. Oh, and they hosted the Olympics Games. Wow. Oh, and I love WWE, wrestling. They also hosted that in their stadium. So they seem like a credible company. People know of them. And my friend also told me about them. And I can just go on Google and I look up what is SoFi and I see a bunch of information about them. And I also see about their stadium. And that tells me even more that, yes, my memory is correct. I'm not lying to myself. I did see them as the name on that building, that beautiful stadium. I can trust these people. Let me give them a shot. Let me get a loan. And so becoming a household name allows SoFi to solve the problem of familiarity and then make it easier for people to verify who they are, that they have a good reputation. And so now when they go and spend all this money on marketing, on getting their name out there and their products out there to people, they don't have to worry about people not knowing them. They don't have to worry about trying to solve the trust issue in a huge block of text on their advertising material to say who they are and what they do, because people already know who they are. Half the adults in the country saw them at the Super Bowl, and the other percentages saw them at whatever other concert or event is hosted at SoFi Stadium. Their names out there, and even on YouTube. The Los Angeles Rams, when they post their highlights on YouTube, they say Super Bowl highlights at SoFi Stadium. I'm guessing they have a deal with SoFi that they have to do that. And they might see them on CNBC because SoFi is often on CNBC through Liz Young, their analyst. And so you have SoFi in all these different places, but especially the stadium, because that stadium is a huge part of American culture now. From the Olympics to NFL to national college basketball and all the other big events out there. And so SoFi doesn't have to then send all this information about who they are when they send out information about their products. They already know, people already know who they are. They already heard of them. And so they don't have a leaky bucket issue wherein they spend all this money on Facebook, Google, and physical advertising, and then people just throw it out. People just say, "Oh, I don't know who this company is. I don't care about them." Let me just ignore that. That would be awful if they're spending millions and millions of dollars every year on advertising and people just throwing away their advertising materials. But now that people know of them, the chances of them converting those people who see their advertising material increases. They have a much higher chance of people actually give them a shot. And if they reach out to me after I see them, I'll say, hey, these are great terms. Let me give it a shot. I know who they are. I trust them. Unlike that other company who is offering me even better terms, but I have no idea who they are. I can't trust them. So I would take a little bit worse terms for the peace of mind. The fact that I can trust them. On the back of the stadium, just having their name out there, becoming a household name, as Anthony Noto always says, like the other banks that have their names on 25% of major sports stadiums in this country, they get that free marketing, that free brand awareness. And that is crucial to banks because the financials, when people deal with their money, they really care about that. They don't want to lose it to some scammer. And they also don't want to have their identity stolen or damaged by giving their business, their financial business, to some entity out there that they never heard of, that they can't verify the reputation of. And so that's why I didn't do business with that other lender who was offering me all this great money on amazing terms, because I don't know who they are. When I Google them, I don't see them anywhere. I never heard of them. But I've heard of Chase. I've heard of Rocket Mortgage. I've heard of Wells Fargo. I've heard of Lincoln Financial Field, right? I've seen all these companies, all these great banks. I've seen them all before I even knew what they were. I saw their names on stadiums. Because as any American, I watch sports. I interact with the culture. A big part of our culture is sports. So now if Wells Fargo reaches out to me, I can say, oh, I know these people. If Chase reaches out to me, I can say, oh, I know of Chase. Right? In Rocket Mortgage, I know these people. Now all I gotta do is verify. Do they do what they do? Oh, they have great reviews. There's some bad ones, but everything else outweighs the bad. So I'll give them a shot. I can trust them enough to give them my business. And that's it. That's why SoFi cares so much about this building. And that's why we've seen 25% of these stadiums being named after banks. That's not just for no reason. There's a reason specifically that banks care about having their names on stadiums that are seen by hundreds of millions of Americans every day. And that is because of trust. Trust and money. People need to trust in order to give their money away and put their finances in your hand. So that's exactly why SoFi is spending all of this money on putting their name on this stadium and having their name said at all of the big events. Whenever you see a football game on Sunday night, you hear of SoFi Stadium. At the Super Bowl, you hear of SoFi Stadium. At the Paul McCartney concert, SoFi Stadium. At the upcoming Olympic Games, SoFi Stadium. And so many more to come. And along the way, people become familiar with SoFi. And when SoFi reaches out, they say, hey, we're a one-stop shop online bank. The only one-stop shop online bank where you can save your money, invest your money, pay your bills, buy cryptos, get a mortgage, get a personal loan, go back to school with a student loan, get a car loan refinance, and so much more, insurance, so much more. People will say, oh, I've heard of SoFi. Right, they were at that stadium. Let me give them a chance. I can trust them. So as long-term investors, we should be happy with this move by SoFi, making a long-term investment on their business, on their ability to actually realize their goals, to actually realize the 43% CAGR that they've projected through 2025, compounded annual growth rate. If they're going to be able to actually get more customers, grow their customer base from 3 million to 5 million to 10 million and so forth, they're going to have trust across the country. They need to be a household name. And so they've made this long-term investment in their business. And we should be happy as long-term investors, because if we're investing for the long term, but our company, the company that we're invested in, is only taking short-term moves and making short-term investments, then our investments misaligned. We're trying to invest in a company that should be around for the long term, but they won't get there if they're only focused on the short term. And so, although SoFi has committed all this money to the long term, the 20 years ahead, just to have the name on a stadium, we have to understand that that's good for us as long-term investors, because we can trust that they're going to become a household name and be able to sell their products to more people over time and help them acquire even cheaper revenues as time passes. You have been watching bullacademy.org on YouTube, where we teach long-term investing by breaking down concepts and sharing the stories of companies to help you build long-lasting sustainable wealth. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and want to see more like it, please remember to like the video below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this topic, even if you just want to say hi. Hi. I would love to hear from you, and I always do my best to respond to every comment. If you would like to engage with me outside of YouTube, feel free to follow me over on Instagram at Lincoln W. Daniel, where I share random thoughts on life and wealth building. As always, this video has been brought to you by our patrons at patreon.bullacademy.org, who support this channel financially to help us keep going and help me brainstorm new video ideas to share with all of you. We do this show together, and we do all of this in our private Discord chat, where we discuss the stock market in real time every day by sharing news, rumors, and new investment ideas, so we can all do our own research and then come back together and collaborate. So if you're interested in any of that, I hope you'll join us over at patreon.bullacademy.org. I'm Lincoln with bullacademy.org. Thank you again, and have a great day.